DJ and PK brought to you in part by Lumen Technologies. Your life moves fast. Quantum Fiber Internet is faster. Move up to tomorrow's speed today. Go to quantumfiber.com. That's quantumfiber.com. DJ and PK, we're joined once again by Frank Dolce, former Utah quarterback, longtime broadcaster. Frank, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How have you been? It's been too long.
It has been a minute here. I was curious if you are excited about the debut of football season or, come on, man, it's we got to have one or two more trips to the beach before we get to fall and play football.
No, I'm definitely ready for football season. The minute football season ends, then I'm ready for football season. So hey, by the way, Smitty, who's with me today, and you can probably hear him in the background, wanted me to say hello to both of you. So there you go. Hello from Smitty.
What time's your time?
What do you mean, what time's our time? We're on the fourth hole.
Oh.
7 a.m. was your time then. Okay.
Yeah. Hold on. Oh, I can't believe I didn't make that putt. Okay, here we go.
Same with Rory. Yeah. It happens. What are you going to do?
Oh, man. Has that been so interesting to watch, how Rory can't finish a tournament anymore? Like, that guy was so dominant, but all of a sudden he gets in a position to win and then just collapses. So very super interesting to watch how he's progressed through the years.
I would agree with that. We'll see what happens. He's still got time, but he's got to get pushed through and get himself another major. He can't be a phenom in his 20s and sort of disappear in his 30s from that perspective. But I think he'll get it.
Let me ask you this, PK. You're a golfer. I mean, you're a good golfer. How important do you think Rory's caddy is in all of this?
I think it's important until the moment he takes his takeaway, if that makes sense. Once he starts his takeaway,
I got the bingo and the bongo.
Then it's on him, and he's got to do it.
Yeah.
And so,
that makes sense.
Up until then, I think he can work with him, get him in a positive frame. You can do this because Schauffele talked about that. When he was in the British thing, is that because he'd already won what did he win, the PGA a couple of months earlier, and so he was saying about how he was playing in tough conditions over there, and he was talking about how his caddy was saying, this is something that you can do, you've done this before, this is no big deal, blah blah blah. So from the psychological aspect, he can get himself prepared with the help of the caddy and the other thing that the caddies can use. But I think once you start to take away, then it's all you.
Yeah.
It's similar to baseball when you get in the batter's box. You know, you've got all this coaching and videos and all the latest possible stuff you can have. But once you step in there and the other guy starts his wind-up, it basically is a one-on-one at that point.
Yeah. That's a good point. Well, we'll segue that into the Utes in the first year in the new Big 12. And how they're going to. I'm not sure I am buying into the hype of this football team yet. I think there's a couple question marks, especially on the offensive side, that it's going to take a few games, I think, to answer those questions. Super excited about the defensive unit. I mean, they're like 8 deep on the defensive line, really good linebackers, athletic defensive secondary. But Cam Rising, if Cam Rising is healthy, that's an obviously enormous positive. But that's a huge concern for me, whether or not he stays healthy. I think the second, I don't know. I don't know if it's more of a concern or not. I don't know that Utah has the Utah running game that we're used to, and so that to me. I'm really interested to see how that unfolds.
Okay, so what percentage of a run game, to go back to your golf analogy here, what percent is the caddy and what percent's the player? The run game, what percent's the O-line and what percent's the running back?
Well, I would say it's more significant for the O-line, because an O-line could make up for an average running back. So I think an O-line is more significant. But Utah plays that style where the running back is like if we go back to the Zach Moss days, I mean, there's a guy that could break a tackle at the line of scrimmage and then pick up 4 or 5 or 6 yards. And that's been when Utah's been good, that's how they run the football. The difficulty is I don't think they have that guy that breaks a tackle at the line of scrimmage and picks up 5 or 6 yards and punishes a defense to the point where in the fourth quarter they just don't want to tackle him anymore. And so I think they have a couple decent guys in the backfield right now, but I don't see a guy there right now that can carry the ball 20 or 25 times a game and relieve any of that pressure from Cam Rising having to carry the ball. So that's to me, those two pieces are that's significant to the success of Utah offensively this year. And so those are the two pieces I have the biggest question marks about.
I think that all that is legitimate. I think that you look at the guys at the top of the most experienced, Glover and Bernard, they're nice players, but I don't think they're the caliber of the player that we have been used to for so many years, dating back to when I first got here. Ron McBride always had, and it continued, and obviously Urban in his short time had it, and Kyle has had a bunch, and you bring up Zach Moss as the latest. But I saw if it's going to happen, which I think it can, it's going to have to happen from some guys like a guy like a Mitchell who hasn't made his mark yet, but his time is right here. And so that's where I'm going to have the faith, knowing that, hey, they usually get somebody like that. And sometimes it's somebody that we don't really see going into the season. And I think it's maybe somebody like a Mitchell kid that I'm looking at to have a little bit of a breakout season.
Well, I'm really looking at Mitchell as well. Like I think he's the guy that has the potential to be the hammer in the backfield for Utah this year. And if he comes through and Cam Rising stays healthy, like then you're talking about a really quality football team. Defensively, I think they'll keep themselves in games. So that's a huge plus. But whether or not they can be more dominant on the offensive side with the running game and with Cam's help, I don't know. That's my concern. Obviously, that's my concern. I said it 7 times.
This wouldn't be a preseason University of Utah football conversation unless someone said, is this the year the wide receivers become a very important, productive part of the team? So I'll be the one to say, is this the year that the wide receivers become a very important and productive part of the team? Is Dorian Singer going to make a difference, or somebody else? What do you think?
I like the athleticism of this receiving group. I love Singer. I think he has a real chance with which should be a strong tight end group back for Utah. Like there's in the passing game, I think there's really good opportunity that fits well with what Cam Rising can do. So I would say there's going to be, a lot more reliance on the tight end group, and then picking your spots with the wide receiver crew and a group that's able to stretch and pressure a defensive secondary. So I'm pretty optimistic about those two groups combined, the tight end group and and the wide receiver group. With and I'll say with that, the maybe the ability from the wide receiver group to have a real playmaker in there. So I think that's like that to me going into this football season. I'm pretty high on that. I would say on that group combined, tight end, wide receiver group.
Yeah, if you combine them, Frank, I would agree because I think I can make an argument that, they haven't had a breakout receiver in a good while, but this year they might need the least amount of breakout receivers and still have success because the tight end position is just absolutely stacked. There's no doubt about it with Keithy coming back. And I can go through the list, and I think King showed enough last year that you can move him around, and Andy Ludwig will be creative with him. And plus you got Bernard, who's really, really good at coming out. You can put him in the slot. You can throw him out of the backfield, and he can do some big-time damage. He might be even more potent as a receiver than simply running the ball or doing stuff that gets him out as opposed to, running into the line of scrimmage and looking to break tackles, but getting him out there where he can use his agility. So they've got weapons. If you combine them all, not necessarily highlighting an individual position, except for tight end, you can highlight that. But if you combine all the pass catchers, which obviously includes running back, I think that they have an opportunity to be really good there with the fact that you've got a 25-year-old, 7-year veteran, Cam Rising, who's been with Andy Ludwig for 6 years. You put all that in the same pot, and it has an opportunity to be a really good offense.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's great potential for that offense. But those, a couple of those things have to fall into place. And by the way, I appreciate that you mentioned the ability of Utah with the current setup to catch the ball out of the backfield, to be a threat out of the backfield. So when you combine that, if let's just say optimistically, if Utah identifies the 20-25 carry a game back and has great tight end play and has a wide receiver group that can stretch the field and make some plays and put in there then Cam Rising's ability to escape pressure and potentially use his legs as a weapon and catching the ball out of the backfield. You put all of those things together, that is a lot for any opposing defense to manage. And so optimistically that you look at that offense and you say that, this is an offense that could probably score 30, 35 points a game. And if you can do that with Utah's defense that I think is going to show up, you're going to be in a really good spot to battle for the top of that conference. And so, but it's like we were talking about, just all those things have to come into play, have to fall into place. And I just don't know if we're going to know that after game 1 or game 2. I mean, I think it's going to be a few games in when we decide, oh yeah, this is how it's going to be this year. And by the way, we've all been around Utah football long enough to know that Coach Whittingham and that crew, they typically go a few games deep into the season before they settle on, this is our running back, this is how we're going to, this is our game plan, this is how we're going to line it up, this is how we're going to attack a defense. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're still, week 3 in the season saying, who's going to be the guy this week? Who's going to carry the ball this week? Who's going to be the guy out of the backfield this week? I fully expect that to be the case.
Let's go back to the defense, which I get why you think there's a lot of good players there. There are a lot of good players. But are there stars and difference makers at the top? Because obviously they had a second-round draft pick in Bishop. They had a fourth-round pick in Vaki. They had stars at the top. Are they going to have that this year? And if so, who do you think they are?
Yeah, well, clearly Barton is a star at the top. And I think you could go across that defensive line and say, well, there's probably two, maybe 3 guys who have shown that potential with play in the past last year. And that's going to get magnified this year. Like they should improve even more this year. So, and to me, like Utah's foundation has just been built. It's no secret at the defensive line. So if you have those guys up front, then everybody else has an opportunity to be a star. I guess if I'm looking across that defense, I think defensive line, there's probably 2 or 3 guys. And then you put Barton in there, and that's part of your front 7. So there's 4 guys in your front 7. Going past that, I think there's probably not a guy I would name as a star. I would just say there's good potential in those guys. And even going through the defensive secondary, I think that's a really solid group. And I guess I'd say I'm hopeful that somebody will emerge as a star, as you say, a star at the top in that group behind the front 7.
My biggest concern is who's going to be the backup quarterback, because you may need him this season, and most likely whoever it is has a leg up on going forward into next year.
Yeah. Well, it's just, Cam Rising has not been able to complete a season healthy. So the likelihood of the backup quarterback coming into play is very high. I don't know who the backup quarterback is going to be, but it kind of feels like Wilson is going to be the backup quarterback. And to be honest, even if inside the walls they have the, Cam Rising number 1, here's our number 2, here's our number 3. I don't know if Coach Whittingham is ever going to divulge that unless something happens to Cam, and then you have to throw the second guy in there. And then we'll say, oh, he's the backup quarterback. So I'm guessing that there's going to be 2 guys considered as the backup quarterback to start the season. And then we would it's just a matter of if Utah ever gets into that scenario where they have to put a guy in. I'm always a fan of, if you have an opportunity, especially with this football team, if you have an opportunity to get a backup, a second guy or a third guy playing time early in the season, that you do that as often as you can. And so maybe, who knows, maybe Utah gets themselves in a situation where they're up on top and they can give Cam a little bit of a breather, and then we'll see who those next 2 guys are. But I agree with you, that backup quarterback spot is going to be significant. And so, let's say Utah identifies a run game and Keithy's playing well and the tight end group's playing well. You got some playmakers on the outside, and then Cam goes down. Like, which guy is going to keep that momentum? And that's a huge question mark.
I could see, to your point, that they list the 2 quarterbacks as or, so that both guys feel they're there and they don't get itchy about transferring. And then against Southern Utah, if they do open it up, I can see both guys getting a series and both guys getting 2 series, and they try to keep it even. I totally get doing that dance. That would make sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I could see them doing that as well. And I don't know. I would say that in the past, Utah has had backup quarterbacks who've had different strengths. One more athletic ability to run the ball, be more effective with his legs. One more sit in the pocket, throw the ball downfield kind of, character. I would say that looking at this group of backup quarterbacks, that they're maybe more similar in their talents. There's not as large of a discrepancy between those guys. And so, it's just a matter of who through when fall camp gets over, and that Coach Whittingham tracks everything, who is the most efficient guy coming out of fall camp. and then you just kind of go from there. And then, like you said, if you can get him a chance under the lights early in the season, both of the guys, then you say, okay, well, this is the guy we're going to roll with moving forward.
Who do you think we're going to beat in the 6A title game this year?
Who's going to be in the 6A
No,
title game?
who are we going to beat? We know one team's going to be in there. Who are we going to beat to win another state title?
I think it's kind of an.
You want to help him out,
DJ? Isn't that an unfair question?
No.
No, see, he's got his corner canyon charger pom-poms on right now. His wife teaches there. He knows the coaches.
Oh,
he knows a shocking amount of what's going on in Draper. And he anticipates that Corner Canyon will be back in the final, which I know he does this shtick. But honestly, if you've watched high school football the last few years, I think Corner Canyon is going to be in the state final is not an outrageous statement.
No, that's gonna.
So who are we gonna beat?
It the other way. I was saying like who like you're gonna beat. You're gonna try and beat Corner Canyon. Like I don't know.
No.
Good luck with that, Frank.
I don't know if I can pick that Sky Ridge. Who's it gonna be?
Sky Ridge, Lone Peak, Lehigh. I mean, it's the usual suspects.
It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say, would you pick Corner Canyon or the field? That's what I'll say. Would you take Corner Canyon or the field?
PK's taking Corner Canyon.
Of course I am. I want to win.
How did you get aligned with Corner Canyon?
His wife teaches there. She's an assistant golf coach. He literally goes out there to like their region or state, meet or what. He didn't go early in the year when it's a dual meet and it's raining sideways. He's not that big a fan. He's not that supportive. But you get to late May at 62 degrees and sunny. Yeah, he's out there.
Hey, I received a 2023 hoodie that signifies the state title that Corner Canyon won, and I received it directly from the coach. So back off. I am hardcore.
So wait, the football coach?
Yes.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. I'm hardcore.
Frank, I don't know how you're not aware of this, Frank. I'm a little stunned by this.
I am completely unaware. It's because PK's a mystery.
Got no history.
Wrapped in an enigma. Like, he's a mystery. And he does that by design. He doesn't want anybody to know.
There's nothing to know. Nothing worth knowing, put it that way.
Independently wealthy and...
More than you know.
I'm an independent of my political affiliation. That's it.
Well, oh my heavens. Are we going to go into that?
Nope.
Like, do we want to talk about...
You got to go.
Do we want to talk about...
You got to go. Have you been hitting any... Have you hit any shots?
On the seventh hole now.
Have you hit any shots, or have you just been riding here for a couple holes?
Didn't you just hear that? I just hit a 3-wood off the tee, probably 270 yards.
Oh!
That is like, I mean, I should be on the phone more often when I'm golfing because I've hit a couple shots that people in the carts are like, wait, who's this? Who's this guy?
Tells me you're too up in your own head here. You're overthinking and everything. Now that you're a little distracted, your real athletic ability shows through. You do need more of this.
It's so true. It's so true. In fact, as I was driving up here, I was listening to I was trying to get in the right mindset. And so I was listening to some, podcast about being and that's one of the things they're like, when you're playing poorly, it's probably, you're not on the tour. You're not a PGA Tour guy. And when you're an amateur and you're playing poorly, you have to think about, wait, how many swing thoughts do I have going through my head right now? How many things am I thinking about right now when I'm trying to hit the ball and I've just hit a bad ball and now I'm trying to make up for it, rather than just stepping up, being relaxed, taking a look, swing the club.
Yeah. Well, if you get a double bogey, call us back and we'll talk more football and straighten you out.
I would really appreciate that. I know it's going to go awry here at some point.
All right. Oh, that's good. Yeah, talk to Riley about that. That's exactly what you need to think. That'll help.
Go talk to Riley about mindset.
Yeah, sports psychologist. Your mindset.
I know.
It's gonna go. It's gonna go wrong here somewhere. Oh, come on now.
Yeah.
Now you're going Rory McIlroy on us. Knock it off.
I should do that. Okay, I'm lined up. I'm about 126 yards out right now.
About 126.
I'm staring down the flag stick. Let's see how this goes.
You gotta go to break here.
Oh man! Wait! Homeboy's dancing. Homeboy is dancing. I mean, you guys are magic.
I agree. Thank you, Frank.
You're the best.
All right,
Love to talk to you.
Go make that putt.
I'm going to make it.
Frank Dolce, former Ute quarterback, longtime broadcaster, and occasional golfer. Join us right here on The Zone. DJ and PK, Kelly Papinga, BYU defensive ends coach and special teams coordinator, joins us at the top of the hour. Stay with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present...
This is JJ and